So I am going to start with Kevin because Kevin has been with us many times before. I'm going to let Kevin introduce himself.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much, Violet. Hello, everyone. Really great to be here with all of you today. Hello, Alejandro, and everyone else here. I've just been so happy to been able to participate in these wonderful events time and time again. And it really is such a beautiful energy, Violet, that you and Alejandro are creating and are curating and cultivating and bringing together here so wonderfully here on Insight Timer. So 3 cheers to you, and 3 cheers to Insight Timer, and 3 cheers to, of course, everyone here, wherever anyone is. So yes, my name's Kevin. I've been on Insight Timer here for going on 4 years now, and I come here on Insight Timer roughly 3, 4 times a week. It varies according to my schedule, and I'm here with sessions of meditation that I offer, guided meditations and silent meditations as well. And I sing, and I have my trusty guitar over here, which I I pick up at some point during the meditation time that we have together. And just really am just so grateful for the opportunity to have this time with everyone, and it's been a tremendous benefit for me, and people come in and from all over the world, as we know, and it just is such a beautiful energy that we can see the importance of community, the value and the incredible joy, the dynamism that comes from all of us just having our thought in the same place or in a similar place or in that same vibration or that same energy. So many ways to describe it, but the essence remains the one thing that is so beautiful and so important. And so I'm really, really just overjoyed anytime there's an opportunity to share in that pure space of just being together and having that energy shared and just experiencing that again and again. So thank you so much for this opportunity once again, and wonderful to meet all these other teachers here on Insight Timer who I've dropped into your live events here and there. So it's really great to actually have a chance to see you here like this, and of course to be with everyone who is here online as well. So thanks very much.
Thank you, Kevin. That was a beautiful introduction. I think I'm going to give you my job next time. And Eric, please introduce yourself.
Sure. Hi, Violet. Thanks for having me. Nice to meet everyone here. This is my first time on this chat, so I'm excited to meet other teachers and collaborate and learn from you and what you teach. And I'm sure we all have our own specialties. My specialty is in the sleep and dream arena. I have been a long time dreamer, a long time lucid dreamer. In my 20s, I encountered dream yoga, which transformed my life and has been a really powerful practice for me. And in the last 5 years or so, I've devoted myself to teaching others. There's so many challenges that exist with sleep. Everybody knows just how important sleep is. And yet there's this gigantic gap that exists of people not getting the sleep that they need. And so my approach is drawn from some of these traditions where, seeing sleep as something sacred. Seeing sleep as something that when we tap into it, we're actually returning to our true essence. We're returning home in some sense, and tapping into this deeply restorative, physically, emotionally, and spiritually state of mind that we have access to every single night. And I'm excited for this chat because I do see a lot of parallel between sleeping and self-compassion and love. And, I hope, so many people struggle with sleep anxiety. And my mission and the view that I present is that hopefully by understanding that where we're headed at night, we can alleviate some of that anxiety because we know that we're returning home. We're returning to our true essence and our true nature, which is basically good and basically pure. So I've been on Insight Timer for about 1.5 years. I do some lives, I do some yoga nidra practice, I do some talks about how we can shift our mindset. And I teach something called REM sleep mindfulness because I come from an athletics and performance world, and I feel like I have to maybe take out some of the woo from dream work, unfortunately. And so I kind of present it as REM sleep mindfulness for a population that might need a different avenue to access the dream. So yeah, and I've been progressively doing more and more lives, and I've really enjoyed it. Insight Timer is great. It's been beautiful to be able to share this work and have a receptive community and support from other teachers, support from students, and it's been a great blessing.
Awesome. Thank you for joining us. And I'm a huge fan of sleep, so I love the work you do.
Beautiful.
Nicole, please introduce yourself.
Hello, everyone. I am Nicole, Antara Mastery. My mission, world peace through inner peace, success through inner peace. My goal here, I've been a teacher on here maybe 7, 8 months. I don't even know. I'm still a baby. But it's been beautiful just helping people, walking with people through, lately we've been walking through grief, but my goal is to help people return home as well. Through just radical self-acceptance, self-love, and clearing out any of the emotional traumas and blocks that they've been unconsciously holding on to. I don't know, just bringing things into people's awareness, because that's the first step in making any shifts or change. So that's been my mission here. I do have some guided meditations on here. I need to do some more recording, but I do mostly lives. Live meditation every morning, Monday through Friday, 5:30 a.m. for early birds. So I'll be like slowly going unconscious here in a moment once we get closer to 8 o'clock, because sleep is important. But yeah, that's really consciousness, human potential is really my main focus. But yeah, that's all I got.
And Nicole, I have to admit, I love you, but I will not get up at 5:30. So this is why I have missed all your 5:30 a.m. meditations. I mean, my husband leaves for work at that time, and sometimes I'll take a peek, but I'm like, I'm going back to sleep.
Not a problem. I make my Saturday lives more accessible.
Good. Matthew, please introduce yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. So thank you everybody for your introductions. It was really nice to meet all of you and to get acquainted. I really appreciate it. So yeah, this is my first time being a part of this chat, and it's already a lot of fun. Everybody's really full of energy, and really you guys are very directed. You have it going in the right direction. So for me, I'm just kind of fitting right in, and I really appreciate it. For me, my path, it's about magic. So there's elements in there, that I think a lot of people are used to, that a lot of people are also interested in delving deeper into. For me, I got into it, also in my early 20s as well. I've been doing tarot for years also, professionally. And yeah, I mean, I like doing all kinds of different practices, but specifically, I'm quite drawn to magic. And, I've lived, well, I'm from the US, but I've lived in Europe for a long time. So yeah, basically I'm quite acquainted with a lot of different people. And I've traveled around and gotten, to learn a lot within the field of my interest. So I'm very thankful for that. And yeah, I think that with Insight Timer, what I really like is the people, the questions. It's so engaging. The questions that people ask me are amazing. And I'm not just saying that. Like, that's definitely something that I wanted to say, at the beginning, is that I just really appreciate how deep people go with everything. It's like I'll prepare an event and I just won't even be expecting, I'll almost be taken by surprise because people are just so dialed in. So I really appreciate, how meaningful it is to everybody here. And, that kind of raises it to another level. For me, makes me want to be a better teacher, makes me want to, bring more to the table and, have more fun. So Thank you, everybody, for being here. And I look forward to continuing to have this conversation.
I love that, Matthew. That was beautifully said. And I agree with you. Some of the questions sometimes I'm like, wow. And mind you, this is why I'm here with a panel, because if anyone has hard questions, you all get to answer them.
Looking forward to
Shannon,
it.
please. Oh, yes, right. Shannon, please introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Shannon, and thank you for Violet for hosting these events for us, because it's nice to be on the live events for Insight Timer, but also on a panel with other awesome teachers. And thank you, Alejandro, for co-hosting as well. And so I've been part of Insight Timer for about 9 years, and then started the live events when we started back in 2020. So going on 5 years for the lives. And I currently do one live event a week, usually Wednesday evenings. And my background is being a healer for about 25 years in spiritual direction, massage, cranial sacral therapy, a Reiki master teacher. And my spirituality is an interfaith practice for myself. So I draw on all the different traditions worldwide, because I think all those paths hold beauty in them. And for me, that's how it feeds me too. So a lot of my tradition too is Celtic. So I work with the fairy energy and also the wheel of the moon cycles. So a lot of my lives will be around like the new and full moons, also like the cross quarter times of the equinox and solstices. And I do a lot of Reiki sessions as well. So bringing healing to everybody that needs it. And I try and also like incorporate a lot of, in spiritual direction, it's about having people be guided into their own wisdom. So not having answers to give someone. So I ask a lot of what I call questions of reflection during our sessions, because I want each person to be guided into their own answers instead of being told, or getting to learn about your own inner talk, and sort of unwinding where that comes from. And I also do like a lot of guided meditations. So I have a lot of tracks there that guide people into their internal wisdom, and also sort of unwinding trauma from, family of origin that we take on unexpectedly. Also, because I am an empath, I do a lot of work with highly sensitive people and unwinding like what's ours and what's somebody else's. Because sometimes if we don't realize it, we've taken on other people's either mindset or energy without knowing that we've done that. And so working with nature in order to guide us through those understandings of our internal self. So yeah, it's it's a lot of different practices, but I have fun just being on the journey with each person and what they bring, and hopefully help people just find peace ultimately, like whether it's in their mind, their soul, their physical body. Because we, since I do massage, you also see how someone's mind or spiritual essence, their aura, can also be stored in their physical body. So when I do massage practices, it's also finding those things and helping people see where they're storing it so that they can let it go. So there's different approaches that I take with all of those, but in the end, also trying to like have fun too, doing it, you know, bring lightheartedness to it, because when it's so serious, sometimes it just feels heavy. And so I know that there's ways of taking grief, moving through it, but also allowing it to be, you know, handed over so that we can have an uplifting of our hearts. So yeah, so I'm grateful to be here today with everybody.
Thank you, Shannon. You're an OG. Wow, you said since 2019, right?
Yeah.
Awesome. Alon, please introduce yourself.
Hi, everybody. My name is Alon Ferency. I'm a rabbi in East Tennessee, grew up in the Northeast. I'm here live, or try to be. There have been some extended family health issues that have interrupted my schedule, but most Wednesday mornings at 9, Sunday evenings at 9 on the East Coast. Most of my meditations grow out of Jewish practices of liturgy and scripture, although some are just sort of free form from things that are coming up in my life and the lives of others. I think I've been on Inside Timer as a student probably somewhere between 6 and 8 years, and have been teaching about 3, be my guess. Although I've seen numbers on Inside Timer, but I don't recall. I was a pulpit rabbi from 2010 to just 2.5 years ago, so the middle of 2012. Stepped down from the pulpit to coach artists directly and to consult to creative organizations. Generally, I'm on eclecticcleric.com. You can connect with me throughout the internet. And I support artists to integrate their creativity with spiritual experience, kind of from the sensibility that all of creativity is connecting us to flow, the dynamism of the world, what people have traditionally called God, what you might call mystery, or the source. Rick Rubin calls it the source of creativity, what is beyond and what is within. And I find for many people that if they can connect to a spiritual practice, whether it's not necessarily Jewish and not necessarily of a particular dogma, they can deepen their artistic work and kind of relieve themselves of some of the blockages and some of the baggage that they carry from church and synagogue history of origin that prevents them from achieving their best work. So that's a lot of what it comes to. And I would say one of the things in my toolkit is meditation, which I've probably been doing in some form or another since I was a kid. And I teach in a sort of freestyle that is idiosyncratic. I don't think it belongs to any particular tradition, but uses imagery from my tradition generally. And I'm happy to answer more questions. I think that's a good beginning.
Excellent, thank you. Right, I'm going to turn it over to Alejandro, my amazing co-host, who has a new spin-off called Ask Your Guides for Men. So I'm sure he's going to be contacting some of you at some point in the future. So Alejandro, please take it away. I get to sit back and relax.
Thank you. Thank you. And my name is Alejandro. I am the co-host here for Ask Your Guides. I am a wellness, mindfulness, and health coach, and also a meditation teacher with over 10 years of experience, truly helping people return home, whatever that sounds like, whatever that looks like, and with a heart for openness and vulnerability, and to co-create beautiful spaces where we can show up just as we are and experience the human experience together, whatever that might look like, whatever that might sound like. So thank you all so much for being here. Thank you to all the teachers. Thank you to everyone, all the meditators who are here. If you see me looking down, my monitors are down here. So if you have any questions, if you have any comments, please let us know, and I'll do my best to keep up with the questions so we can ask our guides and get some answers from different perspectives. So welcome. So good to be here. I am sort of fanboying. There is some teachers here who I have followed for a while, and I have been in their lives and even lurking, and I've listened to actually everyone's tracks here. So super cool. Eric, Sleep, I don't really know her, so we might need to talk. Her and I are not friends, and I don't know why I refer to Sleep as a female, but anyways. So today's topic is loving kindness, metta, and I guess we'll start with the simple yet complex question of how do you guys as guides, as coaches, as teachers, how do you practice loving kindness during the hard days, during the low vibration days? What does that look like for you? If it looks like something. I know sometimes for me, it looks like disconnecting completely and allowing myself to rest and to be. And sometimes it looks like finding myself on the yoga mat or the meditation cushion. So what does that look like for you? How do you practice metta or loving kindness during the hard days, during the days that it's not as easy to, or it might not seem as easy to say those affirmations, I am loved, and may all be happy, may all, when you're just, you know what, F that, F this, F all of you. How do we get to loving kindness? Whoever wants to answer.
Before someone answers, I just want to say that I was thinking of me when I get angry in traffic, and then I remember I'm supposed to be kind. So I'm like, may you be happy.
Right. I mean, that works. Honestly, sometimes that works. Sometimes it's practice. Sometimes the practice is a practice. And sometimes it's a very intentional practice. So yeah, go whoever. I'll start calling you. There you go. Go ahead, Matthew. Go ahead.
Thank you for that. Yeah, I mean, it's a really great question. Actually, I was practicing it today earlier in preparation for today, because for me, practice is a big thing when it comes to magic and things like that. And so I like to really get into the role and really embody it and really exist as that. So today was completely crazy when I started doing that. It's interesting because people react differently to it. Everybody's going through different things, and that's what's so interesting about it is it's a universal concept, but at the same time too, it's something that sometimes people might need to take a minute to settle down to meditate, to really open up to that. Otherwise, they're just like racing throughout their day, like transient, like no time. And so sometimes it can bring the worst out of people. Sometimes, it's very, healing. But for me today, I mean, I had so many strange experiences when I was practicing it. I went to the mall at one point because we had to pick something up. And we've gone there countless times, and I didn't have some of these experiences before. It was just today practicing it. I had somebody just randomly just start saying things to me that were really offensive and that I can't repeat here. And it's like, that's okay. And you just have to understand where they're coming from. And that's the true beauty of loving kindness, is that it leads to compassion. You know what I mean? It helps to show you like where they're coming from. Everybody's going through something. So for me, it was okay. I felt bad, but it's like everybody's going through something. And, and then there was something else funny that happened too, but maybe I'll save it for later. I don't want to, I hope I'm not talking too much here, but.
If any of you guys find yourself talking too much, you'll get a private message from me. So don't worry about it. You're good. You're good.
I appreciate it.
He's the bouncer.
Yeah, well, okay. So yeah, I mean, on the way out, when we left, we were on our way back, and the transportation is good in Europe. So you take the train, you take the bus, you take the public transportation, and there were two people that didn't pay for their tickets to get on. And so the people, they were basically caught traveling without having tickets. And one person was just totally cool with it. And they just paid the fine and it was fine. It was no big deal. And then one of the other guys actually like took the ticket and like crumpled it up into a ball, and like it was really crazy. Like it was really dramatic. We've never seen anything like that, honestly. Like I was really surprised. And they were gonna like close the doors and do all this stuff. And the guy went out and gave a symbol to the bus as he left. So I'm not saying these things. I'm trying to censor it, but you know, you feel for the people. I mean, everybody has so much going on, and you just, loving kindness leads to compassion, you know, and that's it.
Right. It's understanding. One of the things that really helped me when it comes to my interactions with other people, it's understanding that for the most part, we're all doing the best we can with what we have. And some of our tools are very unhealthy. And putting myself where I was 10 years ago, 5 years ago, 3 years ago, 10 minutes ago, helps me practice this loving kindness that turns into compassion. Because yes, I mean, yes, it might get personal. Yes, I might perceive it as an attack, but at the end of the day, if I understand that they are doing the best they can with what they have, just as I did the best I could with what I had, which a lot of times was not the healthiest, then the practice, sorry, is more doable, more practicable. Is that a word? It is now. So yeah, thank you for sharing, Matthew.
Of course.
Who wants to?
It reminds me of one of Stephen Covey's stories in his book, I think Seven Habits, of how they were on a train and the kids were running around, and the dad was not, he just wasn't there. And Stephen Covey's like, your kids. And he was like, I'm sorry, we just came from the hospital. Their mom just died. And he's like, his whole demeanor changed. And now he's like giving compassion to this guy because like how it's a whole, you see a whole different perspective of things when you can remember that you just never know what someone's going through or have been through. The other morning when first of all, I say if you can drive in the DC area, you can drive anywhere in the world. And my friend was like, including Afghanistan, where they have lanes, but they don't matter. I don't know. I've never driven over there, but I was heading to work the other morning. Maybe it was yesterday. I don't know. The days run together, but there's the right lane. It was, of course, going to run out, and there was a white vehicle and a black Wrangler, and they both, just ran that lane until they couldn't, and they both got over, and the Wrangler was like annoyed. It like honked at the white vehicle and then went into the oncoming lane to go around everybody and almost created a head-on collision. And I was like, I can't even imagine what that person's going through right now. I was like, just like just knowing like what has been going on in their life for them to think that that was okay, because he almost created a head-on collision. So I just thanked God. I was like, thank you that a collision did not happen, and there he was gone by the time I got up to that part of the lane. So clearly everything was okay, but I just shook my head and just thanked that nothing crazier happened. But I also laughed because I'm like, this place is insane. The way we drive in this area. When I have passengers, I try not to go too crazy. Because yeah, lines on the roads, what is that for? But one of the things, one in the program I'm in, my master's degree, I remember my professor, he said that if you were to envision like walking up a mountain and you see people at different levels of the mountains, they can describe what they see, and what they see is accurate because what they see is from the level of consciousness at which they are, right? So you're at the top and you're like, why can't you see what I'm seeing? Like, because I'm right here. And it's not to say that anyone's lower or higher, it's just like wherever their level of consciousness, and it's pretty much what like Alejandro was saying, whatever their tools are at that moment, that's all they know what to do with. That's and so when you can remember that, it does make it easier to have a lot more compassion for someone because you just never know. And also just understanding how the left brain fills in the blanks when they don't have the answers to the questions. Your left brain is just like, I don't know the rest of that statement, so I'm going to fill it in. And a lot of times it's with the most negative things that you can think of because it's a self survival. Like if you remember that, like even when I do that to myself, my friend and I just say, it's my left brain. Like before I even start a difficult conversation, I'm like, my left brain, let's have a left brain conversation real quick. That way he won't get defensive because he understands. But that's just understanding that too. That can make it easier, and at least that makes it easier for me, just thinking on that level to have compassion for others and myself.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you for sharing. Lanes, what are those? Um, follow the driving rules, guys, please.
Yes, yes, don't do what I do.
Anyone else want to take it on? How do you practice metta, loving kindness, even on the hard days, even when it seems hard? Shannon.
Well, first to touch on Nicole and DC and driving. I was there about 6 years ago and I thought I was going to die. Like I screamed literally the whole way like through until I like made it to where we were going and parked and said I will never get in the car until we actually leave, which was 4 days later, which I did because I was like, it's insane. Anyway, for me, like on the hard days, when it's hard to like pull in your practices, you might have a toolbox that has so many, but when it's a hard day, it can be difficult. And so what I end up doing is I work a lot with my imagination and putting myself into those imaginative spaces. And the first place I go is to a tree in my mind where Buddha is sitting, because it's always about the middle path, right? So if we can stay in the center, so if I'm not feeling good or having a lot of emotions, I'll sit in the center with Buddha. And I'll start crying to him, like, I don't understand why this. And it's so funny because I'll also have him responding to me. And he'll say something like, oh my gosh, did you see that bird that landed on the branch? And I'll say, no, Buddha, don't you see? Like, this is happening and I don't understand. And then Buddha's like, oh my God, look, the cloud, it's the shape of an elephant. And I'm like, Buddha, you're not listening. And so I'll take myself through this until I calm down. And Buddha's like ignoring me, like, it's just so cool here. And I'm fine, So, like a kid exhausted from arguing with Buddha, who's just like, it's awesome no matter what. And so, if in that like gestalt sort of like back and forth place, it helps me remember like what's really important, which honestly is just sitting here, just being, and being okay with not being okay too. Like sometimes I think we have to fix it and make it go away and make it stop, but the truth is like we don't. We just have to like let it move through. And Buddha like has absolutely like no judgment whatsoever, and you can say whatever you want, and it's okay, until you can just sit there and be okay not being okay until it is, until maybe Buddha says something like, well, did you fold the clothes that you started, and go back to those just basic steps of everyday life, instead of trying to fix it. You go back to just those practical tasks of making your life okay with the things that you can control, until maybe you get like a download or an insight about like how to work with what's going on. So that's kind of what I do.
I love that. No, I love that. I love the fact that giving ourselves permission to have that bad day, it's also part of loving kindness.
Mhm.
it's not having to fix it. I think it's especially for those of us who are in the wellness space, who are intentionally wanting to continue to grow and healing and all of this. Sometimes we are so caught up in what's next, what next, the fix, the mend, or whatever the process is, that we forget to just be. I am having a bad day, and this feeling is also sacred.
Yeah.
Noticing the fact that I am angry at the driver that cut me off, that is also sacred.
Yeah. Yeah, because it was interesting because like it was yesterday. So speaking of like, you know, an event that happens when you go out. So I was at a grocery store. I needed to pick up just a couple items and like I was checking out. And it was so hard because there was a person in line behind me and had put their stuff on the belt. And I'm still checking out, I still need to pay, like I'm still actively. She was an inch away from me with her wallet out, getting ready to pay for something that she hadn't even rung up yet. Like, you know, and the person that's checking out with me, I looked at her and my eyes got big and I was like, and we both took a deep breath in. And there's a part of me that like wanted to say something to her, but then like I practice like keeping my mouth shut so that I can have the conversation in here so that it doesn't escalate out here, because it doesn't solve anything. So I'll be like, I want to say something, and my mind's like, no, just keep your mouth quiet. It's not worth it. Like you don't know what's happening, but I just like breathe, pay, like okay, you know, thank you, and then I leave, and then I sit in my car, and I'm like, man, that was really hard because my human self wanted to just go like, could you back it up? And but then like the meditation side is like, well, that part where we're in a hurry in our cars, we're also in a hurry in our lives. And it's a lot of people don't have the ability to like, if they don't have a mindful practice, they don't slow down. So their vehicle, their body becomes that thing that they're moving in that direction too, just like that, right? So it's like, just like Nicole was talking about, like that level of consciousness where they're at, like, well, if not better than, I'm not better than because my practice is here, but I do have more tools. So I have to use them because this person doesn't have those tools. Same thing like Alejandro was talking about, like where he was at like 8 years ago is not where he's at now, but you know, each time you have a tool, you know, and putting it into practice is hard work. That's part of the spiritual journey. Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you for
Thank
sharing.
you.
Thank you so much. Anyone else want to tackle the question? Eric, Kevin, Alon?
I am feeling a sense of relief that traffic, I'm not the only one that has my worst self come out when I'm in traffic and when I encounter frustrating drivers. It does seem like a common thread here. And I'm working with my wife. It's always helpful to have my wife in the car with me to help keep me in check, because I like to use the horn. Sometimes we need to. Sometimes somebody needs a little bit of a just a little reminder to be safe. We get in regular disagreements about this, but that's okay.
So do my husband and I.
Yeah. I don't know if those will ever end. But yeah, when I was thinking about this question, what came to mind for me was there's these Lojong slogans, which come from the Buddhist tradition. It's a series of like 59 different slogans that are mind training techniques to, kind of for like on the spot help relief when we need them. And there's one that came to mind. That's the practice of sending and taking begins with yourself. So sending and taking is a compassion practice from the Buddhist tradition. And it basically means like start with yourself, because you need self-compassion as much to be able to provide compassion to others. And I think on those hard days, it may be hard, maybe really hard. I find it hard to have that, that compassionate response to others who get under my skin. When that judgmental mind creeps in, and at the very least, doing an emergency compassion for myself, and just kind of remembering like what I mentioned in the opening, in my introduction, just kind of trying to remind yourself that like underneath this anger, underneath this frustration, underneath whatever difficult emotion I'm experiencing, whatever is causing this difficult day, I do have this true nature that is this vast open sky, pristine nature that I just can't see it right now. And if I can at least remind myself, and maybe it's not going to immediately alleviate all those clouds and clear up the sky, but it's at least going to help point me towards that. So that's kind of what came up for me, that this is something that we can tap into at any time. And these hard days, maybe we need to remind ourselves more frequently, and that may be success. I don't think success is going to be a linear path, always up and to the right, but the more that we can remind ourselves, the more that we can try to tap into this, the more it's going to be there when we need it, when we're having those days.
Absolutely. I like that you brought your wife being in the car with you and sort of being the balance, which it's such an important part of our practice community, and that accountability, and those people who balance us in our journey. I can be very explosive at times, especially when driving. And like I said, we should not all be in the same car at the same time, or we'll make headlines, not the best ones, in the streets of DC. So I may part of our practice be also finding the people who balance us as we learn to balance ourselves and balance others and hold space for others. May we find those people who also resonate with us and can balance us out in the moments that, in the days that might not seem the brighter days, as we continue to practice loving kindness towards others and towards ourselves. Anyone else wants to chime in and jump in?
I'd love to share just some reflections I've had from other people's thoughts, because it struck me a lot. I think, Alejandro, you talked about that anger too can be sacred. And I think there has to be some space to admit sometimes the world stinks, right? And sometimes it's a terrible day. And sometimes I am just angry. And sometimes I'm a real, I don't know what our language requirement is, but let's say POS, if anyone knows what POS stands for. And then there's a line, right? There's a line of miserable people making other people miserable. So I think it was Matthew telling the story. No, it was Nicole telling the story of someone swerving into oncoming traffic. Like, that isn't okay. There has to be a boundary where we say that's not acceptable to take your misery out on other people. And certainly in that case, to even endanger them, but to ruin their day with your honking because you're frustrated. Like the work is to be miserable on your own sometimes. In practical matters, I do find that removing my phone from my car has helped me a bit recently. Exercise has always helped. And as I age, that's more and more walking, which has its own therapeutic capacity, just that you're getting away from the problem almost physically. When I'm anxious, I physically try to move slower. That helps me around the kitchen if I'm having a stressful day, or sit down for a few minutes before I decide what to do. But I really think that the theme I'm hearing emerge is this idea of moral imagination and perspective taking. If you can understand, as Philo or Plato, it's not clear who said this, that everyone you encounter is struggling through a hard battle. The book of Proverbs says that only the heart knows its own bitterness. So if we can have that sense that every person we meet not only has a spiritual nature, is a child of God, to use the sort of original terminology, but also is miserable, is struggling, is having a tough time, and cut them some slack. The other thing I noticed more recently, since I stepped down from the pulpit and have had the past 2.5 years, and what has taken up a lot of my time, is different kinds of meditation, whether it's walking or sitting or napping or daydreaming, is metacognition. the single thing that I can note that I have gained through meditation is what I would call metacognition, the ability to lucid dream while I'm awake, as Eric talks. I used to be able to lucid dream. I'm so jealous you can still do that. The ability to steer your thoughts, right? And to say, I'm not going to think about that right now. It's 2 a.m. I'm going to go to sleep, right? Or I could have a fight with my wife, but then we'll be up all night. Right? We'll have this fight another time. I had a professor of Bible who would say, you can always tell someone to go to hell tomorrow. So I like those things. And then I think, watching some people chuckle, I also find that laughter is really important. So for me, it's what we do in the shadows, or it's a stand-up comedy special. But taking those breaks, and even to laugh at myself and to retell silly jokes in my own head, or to reminisce about funny things that happened 10 minutes before. It's very childish, but it helps. So those are practical and philosophical ideas that came up as you guys were sharing.
Laughter is so important. I know for me, as I'm driving, and this is something that I do practice. I'm over here, someone cuts me off or whatever, and I'm like, are you serious? Are you serious? That's what we're doing. And then I'm like, you're fighting with yourself. No one can hear you. Like, this is literally you in the car by yourself. And it is so funny to me how I put myself in that situation of, and suddenly it shifts, right? And then I can practice. You know what? I don't know what they're going through. Maybe they do have an emergency. Maybe they just, maybe they just don't know how to drive, which is my belief at that point. And that is okay. Nothing changed. There was no accident. It's okay. And laughter for me, especially when anger comes in, it's such a nice bridge to bringing myself back to the groundedness of what's really important in the moment. So yeah, thank you for bringing that up. I love laughing. Kevin.
Thank you, Alejandro, and thank you, everyone. Well, right off the top, Alejandro, I want you in my car in those situations. And figuratively speaking, of course, as well, in the sense that is so great what you were saying.
Booking a flight. I'm booking a flight now.
Right on, absolutely. I'll be at the airport. Now, just the fact that just to be able to catch those moments and just kind of like recalibrate. I love that expression, to recalibrate in the moment and just see what's really, really happening, not just what seems to be happening, is so important. And there's an expression that kind of came to me in recent years, which has been really helpful for me, which I really try to bring in as much as I can whenever these situations come up. And the thing is, it's in the moment, it can be really tough. It's great and wonderful to think about these things, and it is important to think about these things when things aren't happening, because that definitely builds a strength and a kind of a familiarity with whatever tool one has. But in the moment, that's really when the rubber is hitting the road, really, and that's when things have to be really, things kind of become apparent in ourselves, like how far have I come, how far do I have to go, and again with that image of the rubber on the road. And to really be gentle with oneself is so important, because there's so much so many tendencies sometimes to just plow ahead. And in terms of that expression that I was referring to, it's, for me, what works for me very often is get over it, get used to it, get on with it. And somehow, and again, it depends on what the situation is. It depends on so, and I can keep on going, could add like a gazillion so's here, many different factors, different things, different people, different situations, different times of the day, and all that. There's so many different factors. But to find in some way those tools or those practices that really support us, not just in those moments, but in the moments when things are really going well, to not forget the importance of building, say, a practice for oneself in whatever way that might be. And so many amazing things have been said here today. I'm just really drinking it all in, absorbing everything. There's been so many wonderful things that everyone has been saying. Nicole, I just wanted to mention, I'm making a few notes here, the wonderful way that you frame the left brain convos and left brain conversations to say, okay, this is what we're going to have right now is a left brain conversation. So then any expectation of it being something else may just rest somewhere on the side. And the rough days, it's like bills. We all get them. And to kind of be able to deal with it, yes, of course, is the goal. But there's so many things that can be said about this, obviously, but I find in my own life, because I'm only really able to speak from my own perspective in all of this, at least with any degree of authority, and that I even sort of wonder about as well, is that to somehow just not overly engage with situations just because I could, just because I can. And tied in with that, linked in with that, is the word entitlement. When I've become just acutely aware of that word in my own life, in my own existence, my own patterns of behaving in recent years. A few years ago, I was having a very challenging situation, and I was talking to a friend, and I was saying, it shouldn't be this way. I don't deserve this. I don't deserve this. And she stopped me right in my tracks, and it was one of those like pivotal moments, and she said, do you realize how much entitlement, what a place of entitlement you're coming from in saying that? Like, yeah, the situation is not good, and no, you don't deserve it, let's say, but to have that sense, I don't deserve it. And then I had another friend who said to me one time something about talking about a situation. I said, this is not what I want. And she said, no, but that's what you're getting. She said, no, but that's what you're getting. and kind of putting that all together kind of has been very, very helpful for me, along with the get over it, get used to it, get on with it, and so many other things. And of course, in my own situation, meditation is the thing that really is my anchor, or my harbor that I go back to and try and just remain with as much as I can, and also to have a sense of acceptance that, yeah, this moment that's happening might be really intense, really unpleasant, but it wasn't here before. It may seem very, very real here right now, but at some point it's not going to be here. And I know those are nice words, and it can be, kind of fun or helpful or nice to think that, but there really is something to that. And the more I find that I remind myself of that, the more present that it is in those challenging times when it's like, ugh, just ugh. This moment is a real ugh kind of moment, but something will happen. And to look for someone else to perhaps talk to. One thing Alon said that I really liked was that slowing down when that sense of anxiety or that kind of like that frenetic energy is there, to just, if in those moments, to kind of like just as if you're kind of like going into a kind of a matrix or something, and just just allowing the energy of that moment to settle down. So many tips, tricks, techniques, we all have them and can use them, and they're very valuable in so many ways. And to find the right one at the right time, it's like you're rummaging through a big box of all these great ideas. Which one do I pull out now? It's not so easy. It's not like that. When we're in the moment, we're in the moment. So what's been helpful for me are many of these things, and to just not expect that in a particular moment things should be any other way, and yet that things will change and become something different. And also, Alejandro, you touched on community, having friends, being able to just in those moments, if there's someone that you can have a kind of lifeline with, just to reach out and say, I'm having a really hard time. This is really unbelievable. Can you believe what just happened? And just to have that voice of understanding where there's somebody who goes, yeah, that's really not good, rather than, oh, you should do this, or oh, you should do that, or something like that. That's not going to work in those moments. Just to have someone who can meet you there, and really then perhaps just by listening, we end up moving ourselves to a new place. So many different ways to unpack this, so many ways to look at it, all valid, all really beautiful. And I think the best thing that we can ever do is just to be kind to ourselves, to be loving to ourselves, and really have that sense like we are doing okay. I'm doing the best I can. It might not be the best in terms of what I would like, but it's the best. This is what I got. This is the best of what I can do right now. and just always allow for the next moment, because that's the other thing too, is if so much of what has happened is dragged into this moment, then it kind of pollutes the current moment, which is a fresh, open, new moment that can be used in so many ways. Yes, we have the memory of what happened, absolutely. We're not trying to deny or suppress or bypass anything. But the point is that this moment is what we have. This is all we have. This is all we're ever gonna have is this moment. So what to do now? I can write all sorts of things on my page, or I can observe. I have a nice clean paper here, and what do I want to write? How do I want to use my signature as an alive human being in this moment? Do I want to draw something beautiful, or just scribble something? Maybe I do need to scribble something, but the point being that to always have that forward vision. When I took driver's ed, one thing they told us was, don't look down at the road. And there's been a lot of talk about driving today. Don't look down at the road. Look off into the distance where you're going, because whatever you need will come into your peripheral vision. Just keep your attention out there, and everything you need will be given in some way or another. And then if you do need to put your attention there, yes, you do, of course, obviously. So yes, follow the rules of the road, definitely, as you said, Alejandro. And whatever road we're on is our own individual road. We're all trucking along, as the expression goes. And it's certainly wonderful to have the opportunity, when we have such a beautiful gathering as is here today, both through the teachers and all the beautiful, wonderful online people here who've joined, the members, to be able to share and to just feel that energy is what is really connecting us, binding us, supporting us, moving us through all of this. And we really are here for each other in so many amazing ways, even if we don't physically see another person there. I'm here alone in my house right now, but the point is, we're all here, we're all in this together, and we're all here certainly supporting and experiencing this moment together with such beauty. And I think to keep the attention on that is certainly something that is really the most beautiful thing that we can do, is to just keep the attention with that which is keeping us on, with the eyes on the focus of the direction where we really want to go, who we really want to be, and what we would really like to experience in our lives. So
absolutely. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for marrying everything together into this beautiful, almost like a flower arrangement that makes sense with all different parts. So thank you so much. And we've already touched on it, but I want to bring it more into focus. Why do you think, or why is it that we might find it easier to show and practice metta loving kindness towards others, and not as easy, or we don't flow as freely practicing it towards ourselves? I know for me, I come from a religious background. I was raised in the church. So I was taught to, everything was given, and I was in the back burner. My life was a life of service. And there's beautiful wisdom in that. However, for years, for 20 some years, I practiced all of this loving kindness and compassion. And I realized at some point that I didn't have this towards myself. And my realization in that moment was that I was really good at performing loving kindness. Because how can I give something I don't have for myself? So for me, the idea behind loving kindness and going on missionary trips and going on medical trips, teaching mental health and allowing spaces for others to learn how to hold space for others in their communities was very beautiful. But then I realized that when I found myself at the end of myself, I lost everything internally and externally, because I didn't have this metta practice or this loving kindness towards myself. So why do you all think it might seem easier to practice loving kindness towards others, but it might be very complicated, or we might find some resistance when we are practicing loving kindness towards ourselves. Anyone?
Before that question, I want to go to your story, if it's okay, Alejandro. I don't want to put you on the spot, but as a person of faith and someone who is ordained, it is deeply bothersome to me when people have used faith to suppress others. And your story is the least bad story. You know, there are many much worse stories, but the idea that faith is a sort of self-abnegation and a self-denial, or a punishment for the other, or a club that we use against other people, it's so powerful and so rich, and can be so enriching and giving of warmth. And I just want to step up to say it ticks me off. And I'm only saying it ticks me off because I don't know if we're allowed to use more than PG language. The feelings I have are stronger than that.
We might use it. I mean, I've used it before.
Pisses me off.
That's fine. That's fine.
It's just it bothers me because it distorts the possibility of faith for people, because traditions, I think Shannon talked about taking from the eclectic of traditions. There's so much richness. And if we deny that it is itself anthology that can be picked and chosen from, and that we just cherry pick the things that force other people down, it gets me. So I just wanted to acknowledge that before we move into your much better phrased question.
No. Thank you. And that's something that my practice, it's still very much rooted in the faith I was raised in. And I have even a recording here on Insight Timer that I talk about religious trauma and how I have found God in the beauty and in the mess, and how there is this beautiful balance to life, because it is, and it is my story, right? I was raised in an environment that said, you're nothing, you're supposed to be nothing, meek, and which is not the point. But well, hey, what about Violet, put it in the calendar, ask your guides about religion, and we'll
I would love. Half of my work is unpacking religious trauma. So I'm happy to do it.
I love it.
I wouldn't have much of a career if I didn't have a lot of people to deprogram.
Love that.
It'd probably be like a 4-hour segment,
Yeah.
That's okay. That's okay.
We'll have to schedule it on a Saturday afternoon.
Yeah, we'll make it a series. Why not? But but thank you. No, thank you for bringing that to the space, because it is true. It is true. There's beauty in the path. There's beauty in the tradition. There is beauty, and there is wisdom in that, and that it's worth honoring, and it's worth pointing out. So thank you for bringing that. So yeah, so why do we think it's sometimes easier to show loving kindness towards others, and maybe not so easy, or so we don't flow as freely when we practice loving kindness towards ourselves?
So I don't know if it's so much that that it's a show or fake, but more of like when you work in the healing profession, no matter what your label is, there can be the idea that you can't offer those things to people if you yourself are going through something. And so I think those things get hidden back there so that people don't think that, like, well, you can't help me if you're having trouble in your life. And so there's that danger of perfectionism that comes in, where if we're givers and we offer to people and we assist, there's a hidden danger that to show that weakness of what we're going through can sometimes like prevent that, being able to stop and say, today I can't be there for you because I'm going through something, and I really need to take care of myself today. I'm so sorry. And that's very vulnerable to have to do that. And so sometimes it's easier to just like, oh, I'll take care of myself later because this person needs me. So I don't, I don't think it's out of selfishness so much as out of, um, sometimes coming from that background that like, oh, it's not good to take care of yourself, that's selfish. And so it's sort of overriding that mindset that was there for a long time, since the 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s. So it takes a long time to say, oh, I can do both self-care for myself and be there for others. It's creating that boundary. Like, if you're not used to doing it, it takes a lot of like, am I being selfish? You have to reflect. And so it takes a lot of work to like sometimes put yourself there. It was just this last 2 years where I needed to do some more medical stuff for myself, and it required where the doctor would call and say, hey, can you come in today? And in the past, and this is like 25 years of being in practice, in the past, I would have said, no, I can't. I have clients. And I wouldn't take care of myself. But then the last 2 years, I'm like, well, if this is something serious, if I'm dead, I can't help them, next year if I don't take care of myself. So like, no, I am going to the office today, and I call my client, say, hey, I have something that came up and I need to like go in. And you know what? When I'm truthful, they're, oh yeah, no problem. Like, please, I want you to be healthy. And so I think it's out of that perfectionism, and it comes from many different places, but sometimes that's part of it.
Absolutely, absolutely. Someone in the comments says, JG said, our society does tell us to help others first. And it's interesting being in trainings in the corporate world when we do trainings on like fire drills and stuff like that, when they say, you first. And if there's someone in help, let the professionals do it. That is such a shocking thing for people, because the beauty of being human is the community and wanting to help others. But if I run into the fire and I am not prepared, we're both going to perish. So yeah. It's a beautiful balance in learning and giving and receiving from self, and allowing. One of the things that I've learned is allowing love, kindness, compassion to be an overflow of the practice, to be an overflow of the quiet place, to be an overflow of the yoga mat or the meditation cushion, to be an overflow. Because for me, for a long time, it was performance, because I didn't know what love was. I knew what it sounded like and I knew what it looked like, so I acted as in a loving way. But that's just my story. But anyways, who else wants to chime in and bring their voice to the space? Go ahead, Eric.
Yeah, Alejandro, I was thinking of something very similar. I don't know if I have a great answer to this question of why we have this tendency, but it does kind of give me some hope about human nature. I think, we're kind of told that humans are selfish and, individualistic. And there's this kind of like, negative connotation to like taking care of yourself. But we need to be told in an emergency to not help others and to focus on yourself. And that's kind of crazy. So in these emergencies, like our natural tendency is to actually try to put the airbag on the person sitting next to us before we even help ourselves. That's kind of nice. So if we can kind of harness that and also see that like the person sitting next to me is not separate from myself, that I do need to also be there and take care of myself to be able to support people around me, and just kind of, maybe just like shift the mirror a little bit so that it's pointing in the right direction first. It just actually gave me a little bit of hope reflecting on this, and made me happy. And you think about these huge natural disasters, and it just horrific suffering, but also galvanizes people and brings people together. And you see the the beauty that can come out of such difficult times.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you so much. Anyone else? Feel free to bring your voice to the forefront.
I guess I'll say something.
Go ahead, Matthew. Go ahead.
Thank you. And thank you everybody as well. I really appreciate everything that you guys are saying. It's really interesting, this whole conversation. You know, I feel like cars and traffic have been a very big theme here. And I think that that's interesting to me because, you know, it speaks of symbolism, you know, and self-help too, I think has been kind of a theme here as well. You know, people taking care of themselves and realizing that, you know, sometimes they feel like they're having to meet these almost inhuman expectations that are imposed on them. And that's what I'm seeing, you know, a lot of people talking about as well. And, you know, just kind of taking time for yourself to feel back into being human, you know, and really experiencing that, you know. And so that was really interesting to me. You know, a lot of people were talking about that, and I thought that was really cool. Like, you know, it almost seems like the problem is something else. You know, it's like, because we're talking about, you know, loving kindness, and then we start talking about ourselves and how we feel and what we want. And, you know, that it gets pushed by the wayside, to be compassionate towards other people and things like that. And I think that's really important. These are really, really important points that people are making, that, you know, I think in a lot of ways people are inherently good, and they're showing that, definitely here in this conversation, like, hey, I have good intentions, you know. And it's just, you know, sometimes you get fed all kinds of information throughout life, and, you know, you figure things out as you go, and sometimes, you know, it takes longer. But, you know, for me, like, one of the connections I was thinking about with this question was like with tarot, because a lot of times people don't know how to read for themselves, you know. So it's like, you know what I mean? So it's like, they don't even, they have trouble like actually doing a reading for themselves. So they go to get a reading. And it shows me that like people just, sometimes they have trouble seeing what the next step is on the level that they're on. And you were talking about that earlier, you know, being on different levels, and it's okay, you know, what levels people are on. So yeah, I mean, to me, I'm kind of seeing these connections, and I think it's really valuable to see that, you know, people are trying really hard, you know, to do their best and to make a good impression and to do all the right things. But, you know, also at the same time too, learning maybe later in life that they need to actually take care of themselves, and that they've neglected that. And that can be kind of painful. But, you know, I'm seeing that, you know, really in all of these conversations, and the symbolism and everything that's used is, you know, steering around and these kinds of things. You know, it's very visual and very graphic, and it gives you an idea of how much sometimes we avoid, you know, doing things, like very physically, very tangibly avoid doing things because we've been programmed so much, you know, because it's so instilled, you know, maybe even almost afraid to make certain changes, you know. So yeah, I mean, to me, like, there's just a lot of wisdom in all of that, you know, everything that's been said, and I really appreciate it. And I think that, you know, I've learned a lot, and it was really helpful for me, you know, today doing the practice and the exercise before coming here, and you know, just kind of wanting to bring that into this, you know, and just getting everybody's perspective and take is valuable going forward. Like, you know, not, you know, putting myself, my needs or anything on the wayside, like seeing, okay, like everybody here has gone through it, you know, everybody's figuring it out. And it's like, okay, I can learn from each of you. Like, okay, don't do this, don't do that. Like, it's okay, you know? And to use the road analogy, you know, it sets a good path forward. So I appreciate it.
Absolutely. I think having these conversations is so important because it brings that awareness. Oh, wait, I'm not alone. This is not a me thing. I'm not the only one who honks at people, you know, while driving. And it's beautiful. I love these conversations because just because we are on this side of the screen, and this goes to all the meditators, does not mean that we've arrived or that we don't have human experiences. We might be just 2 steps ahead, and our job as coaches, as teachers, is just to hold your hand and invite you to come forward with us. That is it. That is it. But the journey continues. The practice continues. And that is beautiful. That is community. That is healing, and that is growth. Understanding that we are in this journey together. Might look different, might feel different, but at the end of the day, we're still journeying together. So as we bring, go ahead.
Can I share a folktale that you made me think of, a story?
Yes, please.
It's a very quick story. So there's a classic folktale in the Jewish tradition of someone lost in the forest for many days, hungry, thirsty, scared, and they run into someone coming the other way, and they say, "Oh, thank God, you're going to know how to get out of the forest." And the person says, "Actually, I'm also lost, but I can tell you the ways that don't work." And I think I don't even know if you said 2 days ahead of the other person. I'm not sure I'm ahead. I can just tell you how the mistakes I've made.
So good. I love that. Yeah, we're just lost. We're all lost. We're trying to figure it out. That's really good. Thank you. So as we bring the space into a close for today, I want to invite all of you amazing teachers and coaches to let us know what you got going on here on Insight Timer. Any new tracks, any lives? When is your next live? When do you go live? If you go live, if you have a new track coming on. So yeah, Nicole.
Sure thing. So yes, Monday through Friday, 5:30 a.m. Eastern, I do a silent meditation. On Fridays at 6:30 a.m. Eastern, I have Free Flow Fridays, and the conversation is led by the conversation. There's no agenda to that. It's just space, and sometimes we joke and laugh, or sometimes we healing and crying. So it's just whoever shows up, whatever comes. And on Saturdays right now, we are making our way through The Wild Edge of Sorrow, the book on grief. We're working through the 5 gates of grief right now. So that's on every Saturday at 10:10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I do have a retreat coming up that's also on my profile. That's in July. So that's the biggest things I've got going on at the moment. I do have a group on the app too. So Antara Mastery, Antara Mastery, World Peace Through Inner Peace. And I usually just share kind of recaps of some of the lives, and sometimes like the cards that we read in the morning. Right now we're reading Power versus Force, the deck that's correlated to that book. So that's what I got. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you for the work you do. Thank you for sharing your essence with the community, which is one of the things I love the most about you. It's honest, it's real. It's sometimes I tune in to your live in the morning. Again, if I engage in practice, I'm going to fall asleep again. So I'm listening along, and it's so beautiful. The way you guide the community is so beautiful. So thank you. Thank you so much. Eric, what you got going on here on the app?
Yeah, thanks. This is the opportunity to put out a little lemonade stand and share all the tricks. So I do every Sunday night, like a deep rest yoga nidra practice, about 30 or 45 minutes, a restorative thing, to kind of close out the weekend, get go into the week with some intentional rest. Next week, I am trying out a daily mindfulness meditation around lunchtime, just like a real quick 15-minute touch in. And so that'll be a new offering. I'm experimenting with a lot of live stuff to see, it's fun. I mean, I think it's nice to be able to just throw stuff out there and see how it responds with people. And what I've done so far has been nice. So continuing to try more. Monday night, I'm doing a new thing as well. That's going to be like a dream share. So we talked about the importance of community and how, you know, dream sharing can be an incredible practice for building empathy and building community. Just to know that everybody's having these weird experiences at night, and especially when they're difficult. You know, when nightmares arise and when we're going through difficult emotions, to know that you're not alone. Like, we're all going through this, and we all have this crazy experience that we don't generally tend to talk about. It kind of gets swept under the rug a lot in our society. So that's my mission, is to change that. And so Monday night at 8 is when we're doing that. And then, you know, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, when I'm available, I'll do a talk on you know, sometimes some of the science around REM sleep and dreaming. Yeah, those are the things I have coming up. And I have a new course out too, which just launched this morning. So that's also on kind of like the science of dreaming. And so you can feel free to check that out.
Awesome. I am probably going to. I need it. Again, Sleep and I are not. We're not the best as friends. We're getting acquainted.
Good. Well, I hope you can check it out. I hope it's a helpful to change that relationship with her.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you for bringing. It's interesting, as someone who it mainly works with men and coaches, men, especially men in prison or men who have been in prison. It's beautiful to perceive a different coach and approach to coaching from a man, bringing this softness to rest. I think sometimes we're always in the go, 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 go. So thank you for bringing that energy, Eric. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. And I'm not going to keep talking because I'm going to start crying, and we're going to, it's going to transcend to something else. But thank you truly for holding space for softness and for rest. So needed. So especially coming from a male perspective. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Kevin, bring your voice. What you got going on here on the app?
Thanks, Alejandro. Well, first off, I just want to say I think you have a new T-shirt to have prepared, and it's going to be, I'm a different approach coach, from what you were saying, in the sense that what you were talking about is really, really, really beautiful. And I think that's so important, to have a different approach sometimes from the same old. And I think at the same time, it's so important to have regular practice, so that within a regular practice, there can be that variety and there can be that diversity as well, which is so beautiful. So in terms of what I'm offering here on Insight Timer, I'm here generally over the weekends, starting around 9 p.m. on Saturday, Sunday, sometimes on Fridays as well. It sort of varies. And one thing I always like to mention that I think is important is that for anyone who follows anyone here on Insight Timer, if you want to be notified of the teachers' future live events or any content that they publish, it's important to make sure the notification switch in the teacher's profile is turned on if you wish to be notified. And those notifications can make such a difference, because just to have that little reminder or that little notice that comes up and that lets you know can be really helpful for many people, if of course you wish to have them on. And so yes, my approach is to really regularity, just coming back again and again to the same place and seeing the freshness and the beauty of each moment. That every moment is, in so many ways, it's really unscripted. That every moment is what it is and what it will be, and to approach that with a kind of wide-eyed inquisitiveness, curiousness, and so many different ways we can express it is really helpful, I find. And so yes, my offerings are for meditation with music and sometimes discussion. Last week I had some different topics that I was discussing, and also I have some song tracks and a couple of guided meditations published here in Insight Timer. I just released a new track last week, and so always something new happening and going on. But at the same time, more of the same, I find, is really what's so important. And that, in fact, everything, though it may seem to be the same, is never really the same because every moment has that freshness, that uniqueness. And so I always salute that freshness and that uniqueness in the moment, and certainly in each and every one of the beautiful, beautiful souls who are here today. So thank you very much.
Absolutely. Thank you. And again, same, Kevin. Thank you for bringing consistency. Someone in the comments said that you might not be aware, but you're like their meditation father. I don't know who it was. It was earlier. So thank you for being a safe space for those of us who have practiced with you for years.
I think it was BD.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah. So thank you. It resonates. Thank you so much. Shannon.
Oh, thank you.
Got? Oh, not a problem. Not a problem, Kevin. So welcome.
Thanks,
Shannon.
Alejandro. My next live event is next week on Wednesday, 7 p.m. Arizona time. So I'm doing a Beltane ceremony. So Beltane is the cross quarter between spring equinox and summer solstice. So it'll be a combination of poetry, mantras, and then because it's Beltane, I'll be working with fairy energy. So we'll have guided meditation and some drumming. So that's next Wednesday. And then I just released a new track, which is called Releasing Our Cows, Buddhist reflective practice. Thich Nhat Hanh talked about what cows do you have that you don't need, that you can let go of. And I have the full quote in the recording, but it's a reflective practice to have you look at what you have in your life that you think is going to bring you happiness, but maybe it's not. Maybe it's just making you miserable. And so it just gives you an idea of like what you think success is. Well, maybe it's not that. What you thought was going to make you happy isn't. And so can you reflect on those things and let those cows go? And then I have 3 courses here on Insight Timer. The first one is a tree meditation course that helps you connect with your intuition. The second one is a 10-day course for empaths to help you gain tools to work with your highly sensitive energy. And then the newest one is a 12-day course, which is working with the 9 chakras and balancing them. And so, yeah, and thank you for all of our teachers here and for Violet and Alejandro. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Matthew, what you got going on?
Yeah, thank you everyone so much. I appreciate it. And I guess I'll try to make it quick because everybody had so much to say. So don't want to overwhelm people too much. But, I just got started myself last year. So I'm also, working my way up, building my library. But I got some courses for you guys you can check out. Feel free to follow me, Matthew Blankenburg. I saw somebody in the comments earlier. I wanted to respond to you. But I saw that and you said you wanted to follow me. So feel free to check it out. I've got courses on white magic, protection magic for empaths, enhancing clairvoyance through meditation. And I'm planning on also doing some other things too, experimenting, seeing what people like, what people are interested from me. I'm thinking about doing some bedtime stories. I'm thinking about definitely doing a lot more magical tracks because that's what I'm into. So I got more of that coming as well. Working on a little sigil magic course right now. So that's coming together. So yeah, I plan to be here a lot more. I plan to get back at it every Sunday. I've also taken some time off recently. It's been so busy. But yeah, I plan on getting back on it each Sunday. I can say 5 to 6 Central European time. So yeah, if you follow me, then it should let you know. But that's what I got going on. And yeah, I appreciate you guys so much. Thank you all for taking the time to let me know about your projects as well.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. And I think you're the youngest teacher here, like meaning in you and Nicole are right there. So welcome both to
No,
the
I think I'm the youngest.
Oh,
Oh, I thought you
no.
meant age. I thought you meant age-wise.
Yes, of course. I mean, you're 18, just turned 18. Um, so welcome to the space, both of you. Rabbi, what you got going on?
Not enough. I'm super jealous and feel a fire under my feet when people are talking about doing something every day. I try to do Wednesday mornings at 9, Sunday evenings at 9 with meditations based in Jewish tradition, scripture, and liturgy. Those are times Eastern. But I've had a lot of concerns in my mother's family that I've had to attend to and travel for. So I'm way off schedule. I'm sort of test driving a class that I'm teaching locally called The Artist's Quest for Meaning, and I can see that turning into a course online for Insight Timer and elsewhere. I do about once a month a Q&A, something like this, but more directed to my skill set and knowledge base. But I do want to thank Alejandro and Violetta, because I don't get to meet people, right? You have so many connections with people that you see their little icon and their words, but to have, now I have to count, I guess it's 7 of you, 8 total, to hear your voices, see your faces. And then I'm always shocked that Insight Timer has these momentary communities, because it seems implausible, right? That you would feel a connection to people who you're just looking at a tiny snapshot. Sometimes it's just clip art and you hear a few words and you see them every week at your live event and you start to feel connection. And I'm really grateful for that. And then for Alejandro and Violetta to enhance this. So awesome that you pulled this together, and thank you.
Thank you for saying that. That was my dream in starting Ask Your Guides. You know, I was a user for years and I loved all the teachers and I wanted to see them together. And I'm a tech junkie. So I thought if there's a way I can get in there, I can do this. So thank you for saying that.
Cool. I'm just a regular junkie. So. I'm like a chocoholic, but for meth.
So funny. Thank you, Alan, and thank you all you teachers. Thank you for saying yes. Thank you for saying yes to the calling. Because that yes, whenever it was years ago, it's allowing others to say yes to their calling. So thank you for the openness. Thank you for the vulnerability to say this is me, and my teachings are part of my essence, and here you can have it and you can partake. Such a beautiful way of life. So thank you all for being here. Thank you. That's all I can say. All I can say is thank you. Truly full of wisdom and beautiful loving energy from today's conversation. So yeah, thank you all so much for being here. And to all you meditators who have been here, all you 188 of you, thank you for the hearts. Thank you for the engagement. Thank you for the questions. Thank you for the conversations. Thank you. And remember, follow us here. Engage. The best thing you can do to support us as teachers is to engage with our content. Leave us a comment, review. If you like it, if you don't like it, that's okay too. Let us know. We might learn a little something from it. No 1 stars. That's crazy.
Oh my
it
gosh,
takes a long
that's
time.
right.
It takes a long time. It takes a long time to script and to record and to
Or
edit.
saying really nice things and then leaving 2 stars. That's the most confusing.
I just like,
don't say. Yeah,
what a wonderful meditation. 2 stars.
Right.
I know, I was like,
I have one in my course that said, this was so helpful, 1 star. And I'm like, this was probably a misclick. This was probably a misclick. I hope it was a misclick. Thank you for your course. Wonderful course, 1 star. You just took my rating to 4.4.
It's funny, you're
and
telling
my
the
self-esteem dropped with it.
You're telling the backside of the teacher trauma.
Engage with our content, and honestly, I know we do what we do because, again, we said yes to the calling, and we love what we do. So again, thank you all so much for being here. Thank you for allowing us to be part of your journey in this moment in time and in this in between moments. Thank you for engaging with us, and thank you for co-creating this beautiful space with us. So, Violet.
I want to add and thank you to Alejandro because a couple of months ago I asked him to take over as co-host, and he's amazing. He knows I stalked him online for months and loved everything that he was doing and just connected with him immediately. You know, he's the first teacher that encouraged me to cry online. So I am forever grateful to him for that. But he really, I mean, he's a natural. Clearly, he's a natural.
Thank
And
you.
a lot of you know I'm an introvert. I don't like to talk a lot. So talking about balance, having someone who balances me out the way he does is awesome. I'm so grateful to him.
Yeah, that's
And
great.
thank you, everybody, for
And Violet,
joining. Yes.
before we end, I would love to bring Rabbi to close us. He wants to close us in prayer, and I would absolutely
Yes.
love that.
Only if that's appropriate.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yes.
Okay.
absolutely,
Yes.
absolutely. So
Okay.
please bring your voice to the space and
Yes. Yes.
and bless us, please.
Thank you.
So,
Yes.
so I will use the word God, but as I teach everyone, that is just a very easy to pronounce word for all these things that we don't know, can't explain, beyond us, within us, mystery, flow, the source. So I use the word God, but I hope it doesn't carry too much baggage for people. We'll start with just a little breath, just to slow down and kind of accept the blessings of this time together. God, be with us when we drive. Keep us safe and far from foolishness. Look over those who teach and those who learn, and those who learn from their teachers and learn from their learners. Let us continue to create safe communities where people can laugh and cry and share tips and their own vulnerabilities. Let us learn from each other's experience and the experience of sacred texts and sacred traditions. Let Insight Timer and this group continue to be a source of strength and wisdom for those who attend, those who make use of it, those who deepen their spiritual and mindful practices. Thank you for bringing us all together for these moments of respite and support where we can care for each other and ourselves. Amen.
Amen.